Nature of microorganisms. According to shape and life processes, microorganisms are classified as algae, fungi, protozoa, bacteria, and viruses. Some microorganisms, like the fungus that grows on bread or strands of algae in ponds, are multicellular. However, most microorganisms, such as bacteria and viruses, are unicellular. They have a somewhat different cellular structure. They do not have a definite nucleus or membrane-bound cell organelles. Such cells are called prokaryotic cells. There are four main structures shared by all prokaryotic cells: plasma membrane, cytoplasm, ribosomes, and a primitive nucleus called nucleoid. Some prokaryotic cells also have other structures like capsule, cell wall, and flagella. In addition to nucleoid, some genetic material known as plasmids are also present in cytoplasm. National institutions. The National Center for Cell Science, or NCCS, is a national-level research center at Pune. It is one of the premier research centers in India, which is involved in research in the field of cell science, that is, cytology, biotechnology, etc. Come, let us now study about some conditions required for the growth of microorganisms in brief. Growth of microorganisms. Microorganisms can grow in a variety of mediums such as soil, water, decaying matter, and even inside the body of a living organism. They need a specific environment for proper growth and reproduction. An optimum temperature of 15 degrees to 35 degrees Celsius is necessary for the good growth of microorganisms. Temperature lower than the optimum temperature can reduce the activity of microorganisms, whereas at higher temperatures, the microorganisms may die. Microorganisms also require some specific nutrients for their growth. Another vital condition necessary for the growth of microorganisms is presence or absence of oxygen. Many microbes need oxygen for their growth, whereas some microbes can grow without oxygen. Microorganisms also need a suitable atmosphere for their proper growth. Most microorganisms grow well in moist, warm, and humid environment. However, some microorganisms can survive even in extreme and adverse conditions, like the ocean floor, ice in polar regions, and hot water springs. During adverse conditions, microorganisms form a thick covering around themselves and stop their life processes. On return of favorable conditions, they come out of the protective covering and continue their life processes. Come, let us now proceed to study how exactly these tiny microbes are useful or harmful to the mankind in detail. Useful microorganisms. Cleaning the environment. Some microorganisms help us to keep the environment clean. Let us understand this with the help of an activity. Activity: take 2 earthen pots and label them as A and B respectively. Fill each of the pots half with soil. Mix some waste materials like garden waste, dung, fruit peels, vegetable stalks, paper scrap with the soil in pot A, and things like pieces of glass, scrap metals, plastic bags in pot B. Keep both pots at the same spot in the garden and observe them after 3 to 4 weeks. What is observed after 3 to 4 weeks? We find that the garbage in pot A has disappeared, while the garbage in pot B remained unchanged. Now you would wonder, where did the garbage in pot A disappear and why the garbage in pot B remained unchanged. Microorganisms present in soil and dung decompose the garbage present in pot A to obtain food materials. As a result, garbage is soon converted into manure. This process helps to keep our surroundings clean. On the other hand, garbage in pot B remained unchanged because garbage like pieces of glass, scrap metal, plastic bags are not decomposed by the microorganisms present in the soil. For this reason, it is recommended to collect dry and wet waste separately. Wet waste like vegetable and fruit peels get decomposed naturally by the microorganisms present in the soil, and manure is formed, which is used for agricultural practices. Dry waste is not degradable, therefore it should not be mixed with the wet waste. The dry waste can be sold to the scrap dealers. Nitrogen fixation. Observe the roots of this pea, bean and fenugreek plant. These leguminous plants have root nodules. These root nodules contain the rhizobium microorganisms. These microorganisms absorb atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into nitrogenous compounds. Microorganisms like Azotobacter also convert the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogenous compounds. These nitrogenous compounds help to increase soil fertility and thereby the protein content of the pulses grown in that soil. Food industry. One day, when Neha was enjoying her yogurt, a question came into her mind. How is this yogurt made? She asked her mother out of curiosity. Her mother showed her the method to make yogurt. She mixed little yogurt with lukewarm milk and kept it undisturbed for 8 to 10 hours. After 8 to 10 hours, yogurt was formed. Mother also told Neha that yogurt can also be made by using a few drops of buttermilk in case yogurt is not available. Microbes present in yogurt or buttermilk multiply and the milk gets converted into yogurt. Microbes are thus useful for producing milk products like butter, buttermilk, cheese, paneer, etc. Neha's mother also gave her some additional cooking tips. When yogurt is mixed in the batter for making rava idli, bhature or naan, the bacteria present in the yogurt carry out a process and makes these food items light, tasty and more nourishing. This process is called fermentation. Fermentation. The chemical process of conversion of one type of carbon compound into another type of carbon compound by the action of microorganisms is called fermentation. Heat is generated in this process and carbon dioxide and some other gases are released. These gases cause an increase in volume. This is the reason of rice seen in bread dough and idli batter. The process of fermentation is used for making yogurt from milk, producing alcohol from grains and fruit, bread from flour, as well as in the production of some useful products such as acetic acid, citric acid, lactic acid, vitamins, antibiotics, etc. Her mother also advised Neha that she should eat preparations like yogurt, idli and dosa more often because these are light, tasty, nutritious and also contain some useful bacteria which make them easy to digest. After learning about fermentation, Neha was excited to know who was the great person who discovered the process of fermentation. The process of fermentation was discovered by Louis Pasteur, a French scientist, in 1857. Production of antibiotics. Microorganisms are also useful in the field of medical and health. Sometimes, when you suffer from an infection, the doctor prescribes capsules, tablets, or injections of medicines. These medicines destroy the pathogens and retard their growth. These are called antibiotics. Antibiotics are produced with the help of specific microbes. Diseases like tuberculosis, typhoid, cholera, which were previously considered incurable, have come under control because of antibiotics. Domestic animals too can be protected from various diseases by mixing antibiotics in their food. Many plant diseases can also be controlled with the help of antibiotics. Always remember, though antibiotics are useful for curing certain diseases, they can be harmful if used without consulting a doctor. Hence, a course of antibiotics should be completed strictly following doctor's prescription. We should not take any medicines on our own to treat common ailments like body aches, headache, common cold, etc. Uses of microorganisms. Production of vaccines. Microorganisms are also used in the production of vaccines. A vaccine is a germ or germ substance introduced into the body to develop resistance to a particular disease. It is produced in a laboratory with the help of microbes that gives immunity against a particular disease. If we have been vaccinated against any disease, our immunity, that is, resistance to that disease increases, so that the possibility of contracting that disease is greatly reduced. The infants have weak immunity. In order to build disease resistance in them, they are vaccinated according to a fixed time schedule. Other uses. Microorganisms are also used in the tanning of skin, production of ropes and strings from the plants like agave. Some microbes use oil for their growth. Such microbes are used to clear a layer of oil floating on the surface of an ocean or lake formed due to a leak or spill, that is, to clear an oil slick. Farm waste, human urine and feces, wet garbage, etc. are collected and used in biogas plant to produce biogas and fertilizer. Come, after learning about the useful microorganisms, let us now study about some harmful microorganisms.